Welcome back to the series where I show you exactly how I got my testosterone levels over 1100 nanograms per deciliter. So today I'm going to show you exactly how I broke down my blood work. I'm going to share my screen, but I want to explain the process behind this. Usually how I work with clients and how I worked with myself here was I put myself through a phase 1 approach, which was optimizing my health from a foundational standpoint. What that looked like was not touching testosterone boosting supplements or anything like that. We looked at the key health handbrakes that I was presenting on Bloodwork and that I was experiencing from symptomology, addressed those through nutrition, lifestyle, training, and supplementation, got myself to a much better place. And then when we got there, I essentially threw gasoline on the warm wall of fire. We implemented success boosters, high T lifestyle stuff, and really just went hard on hormones to get my testosterone really high. So I'm going to share my screen and go through my bloods with you live and share exactly how I would do this and essentially just treat myself as one of my own clients. And we'll see what happens. So catch me on the screen. All right, so here are the bloods. These are the bloods that I got myself from November 7th, 2024. So I'm going to go through this just like I do clients and just like I did in November when I created this protocol for myself. So first off, quick housekeeping things. These are optimal ranges. They're based on optimal health rather than the absence of disease. So I saw on my lab report, a lot of these high and lows are actually normal range, but that doesn't really tell me stuff. That just tells me that I don't have a really bad disease. Doesn't necessarily mean that I was in optimal health. That's why these ranges are so much more important. So with that out of the way, I'm just going to go through this line by line, share my thoughts, do an analysis like I would if this was one of my clients or if this was you. So starting off, glucose, slightly elevated on the optimal range. I wasn't really worried about this. This can be elevated due to stress. Metabolically, I'm pretty good. BUN is slightly elevated just by 0.1. That's something to take note of. Creatinine is a little bit up. Sometimes if you do supplement with creatine and give a slight boost, nothing to be alarmed about, but also if you carry more muscle in your frame, this is going to be a little bit higher just due to having more muscle. Continuing on, eGFR was a little bit low. This can be low due to dehydration, could be low vitamin D, or it could be a kidney issue. Sodium was slightly low. I'm thinking this is more dehydration. Calcium slightly low. This looks like it's my vitamin D maybe was a little bit low. Calcium and eGFR can be low due to low vitamin D. Again, we're right on the edge though. Sodium, we're thinking maybe some slight dehydration. But this is where we get to the real stuff. So total protein is low. Albumin is slightly up. Globulin is low. So this albumin is up. I was slightly dehydrated. And we'll see that in different markers. Total protein is a little bit low there. So this is telling me that I'm not digesting and absorbing proteins as well as I can. So that is a big thing that I was going to focus on and went after. Bilirubin is okay. Liver enzymes looking okay as well. Continuing on to lipids is cholesterol. We're fine here. Something I'll note on here, this range is much higher than the normal range because there's something called the cholesterol myth. If you want to learn more about that, let me know and I can share some studies that destroy the mainstream advice on cholesterol. Triglycerides, slightly low. HDL, slightly low. LDL, slightly elevated. Nothing too crazy here, but looking at this, low stomach acid, and then we're seeing like triglycerides a little bit low. HDL low, maybe we're not absorbing fats either, and those two go hand in hand. So that was another main thing that I was looking into on my protocol. More RBC is fine. Hemoglobin is slightly up. Again, this comes back to the dehydration thing. A lot of this stuff looks really good. So it looks like my B vitamins are in a good spot. WBC though, slightly low. When it's low, we're thinking some type of chronic thing that's been going on. And my gut health in this period was not the best. So maybe there was something going on. Neutrophils, we like these a little bit further apart rather than a 1-to-1. We like this 2-to-1. So it looks like there's some immune activation, some gut health, maybe some food sensitivities, food that I'm sensitive to that I was eating that was creating issues. Monocyte slightly up. Eosinol was up by 100%. So that's kind of a red flag here. So that connects back into the low stomach acid, the poor bile flow. Maybe my stomach acid was low and some pathogens got in, or this is just intestinal inflammation based on me eating foods that maybe my body wasn't agreeing with or I was a little bit sensitive to at the time. That's what I was thinking more, and that's what we addressed. Normally, I would have a lot more of these markers in, but this was just like a routine checkup. You can do a CMP, a CBC, and a CMP and a lipids for fairly cheap. So I just went ahead and did that. I think this was like $20, and then I added on hormones just because I had to know, right? So I would normally have a lot more markers here in terms of thyroid and iron, and then also in the hormonal panel as well. But we saw 681 and then 7.5. This free is actually pretty low. This is a different test, but I think the normal range is about 6.8 to 21. So that's on the lower end of free testosterone in the normal range. And caveat this was post shoulder surgery. So I had shoulder surgery in July, and studies show that when you have some type of procedure like that, it's going to drastically impact your testosterone levels. So I think that's why this was a little bit on the lower end than where I normally like to keep it. But it was a perfect opportunity to look at this and go hard on my health and get my testosterone levels up, which I clearly did. And then we're looking at luteinizing hormone, which is good right there as well. Again, I would have a lot more of these markers. I would definitely want vitamin D, but cortisol, insulin. But again, this is just like a routine checkup to see where I was at. And then we had enough data in here to create a protocol that was going to really optimize my health from a foundational level. And that's exactly what we did.